My husband's mistress showed up at my baby shower to announce she's also pregnant. So I divorced him and made sure My husband's mistress showed up at my baby shower to announce she's also pregnant. So I divorced him and made sure she got nothing in court. 4 years later, she wants to co-parent and marry me because he abandoned both kids. I'm Olivia, and I'm still not sure how my life turned into whatever this mess is. I remember the exact moment everything fell apart. I was 7 months pregnant, glowing in this ridiculous pink dress my sister picked out, surrounded by 50 women I barely knew, opening my 14th pack of onesies. My feet were swollen. My back hurt, but I was happy, genuinely, stupidly happy. Then Brittany walked in. I didn't know who she was at first. Just some blonde woman in a tight red dress that was completely wrong for a baby shower. She had this look on her face, confident, almost excited. My sister Ashley stopped mid-sentence while telling some story about her own pregnancy, and I watched the color drain from her face. That's when I knew something was very, very wrong. Hi everyone, Brittany said, her voice cutting through the room like glass. Sorry I'm late to the party. I'm Brittany, Brian's girlfriend. The room went silent. You know that kind of silence where you can hear people's hearts breaking? Where the air itself feels heavy? That kind. I just stared at her. My brain couldn't process it. Brian's girlfriend? Brian is my husband. We'd been married for 3 years. Together for 6. We were having a baby. I think you're confused, I said, my voice shaking. Brian is my husband. Brittany smiled. Actually smiled. Oh, I know who you are, Olivia. Brian talks about you all the time. Well, used to. Before he realized he was in love with me, Ashley moved toward her, but I held up my hand. I needed to hear this, all of it. I'm pregnant too. Brittany continued, placing her hand on her still flat stomach with this theatrical gesture. 3 months. Brian's baby. I thought you should know before you waste any more time planning a future that isn't going to happen. I stood up. I don't know how I managed it with my giant belly, but I did. Get out. Brian's been staying at my apartment most nights for the past 4 months, she said, not moving. He said he's waiting for the right time to tell you. But I figured, why wait? You deserve to know that the man you're married to is building a real family with me. That's when I threw up, right there. All over my pink dress and the new carpet my mom had installed just for this party. The next few hours were a blur. Ashley drove me home. Brian wasn't there. I called him 17 times. Nothing. Finally, at midnight, he walked through the door like nothing had happened. How was the shower? He asked. I was sitting in the dark in our living room. I hadn't changed. I still smelled like vomit and shame. Brittany showed up, I said. I watched him freeze, literally freeze mid-step. His face went white, then red, then white again. Olivia, I can't explain. She's pregnant. It's not. It's complicated. Get out. Please, just listen. I stood up and walked to our bedroom. I locked the door. I could hear him outside, pleading, making excuses, crying even. I didn't care. I lay down on our bed and I didn't cry. I couldn't. I just stared at the ceiling and felt my daughter kick inside me, and I made a decision. I was going to destroy him. The next morning, I called the best divorce attorney in the city. Her name was Melissa Harley, and she had a reputation for being absolutely ruthless. She was expensive. I didn't care. I emptied our savings account before Brian could touch it. All of it. $63,000. Melissa was a woman in her 50s with silver hair and cold blue eyes. She listened to my story without interrupting, taking notes in precise handwriting. Did you know about the affair? She asked. No, not until yesterday. Can you prove you didn't know? I thought about that. My sister was there. 50 other women. They all saw my reaction. They all saw me find out in real time. Melissa smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. Good, that's very good. And this Brittany, did she know he was married? She called herself his girlfriend at my baby shower. She knew, even better. Melissa leaned back in her chair. Here's what's going to happen, Olivia. You're going to file for divorce immediately. You're going to document everything. Every text, every call, every moment. You're going to be calm, collected, and strategic. And when we're done, Brian is going to wish he'd never met either of you. I hired a private investigator that same day. His name was George, and he looked like someone's grandfather, soft-spoken, kind eyes. He found everything in 48 hours. Brian had been seeing Brittany for 8 months. They met at his office. She was a client liaison. He'd been taking her on dates, buying her jewelry, telling people she was his girlfriend. He'd signed a lease on an apartment for her. He'd been using our joint credit card to pay for everything. But here's the thing George found that changed everything. Brittany knew. She knew from day one that Brian was married. In fact, she had screenshots of their early conversations where she explicitly asked about me. And Brian had said I was basically his ex, and we were only still married on paper. She knew I was pregnant too, he'd told her. Melissa smiled when I showed her the evidence. This is beautiful work, Olivia. Truly beautiful. The divorce proceedings started immediately. Brian tried to fight it. He claimed he wanted to work things out. That it was a mistake. That Brittany had manipulated him. He actually tried to paint himself as the victim. Then Melissa presented the evidence. The credit card statements showing thousands of dollars spent on Brittany, the lease agreement. The text messages where he called me, the ball and chain, and said he couldn't wait to be free. The photos of them together at restaurants where we celebrated our anniversaries. But the worst part? The part that made even the judge look disgusted. There was a text from 2 weeks before the baby shower, where Brittany had asked if she should make her presence known. And Brian had replied, not yet. Let her have her party, then we'll figure it out. They had planned it. They had planned to humiliate me at my own baby shower. My own baby shower. I sat in that courtroom at 8 months pregnant and watched my husband, my soon-to-be ex-husband, realize he destroyed everything. Our state had fault-based divorce laws. Adultery was grounds for an unequal division of assets. Melissa argued that Brian had not only committed adultery, but had also wasted marital assets on his mistress and had caused extreme emotional distress to a pregnant woman. The judge agreed. I got the house. I got 70% of all our assets. I got full custody of our daughter once she was born, with Brian getting supervised visitation every other weekend. He had to pay child support. He had to pay my legal fees. He had to pay for everything. And Brittany got nothing. Because here's the thing about being the other woman, you have no legal standing. She tried to file a claim, arguing that Brian had promised her things, that she left her job for him, that she deserved compensation for emotional investment. Melissa destroyed her in court. Showed that Brittany had knowingly engaged in an affair with a married man, had participated in intentional infliction of emotional distress, and had been complicit in the waste of marital assets. The judge actually laughed when Brittany's lawyer tried to argue she deserved anything. Miss Brittany, the judge said, you chose to involve yourself in a married man's life. You chose to participate in the destruction of a family. You chose to humiliate a pregnant woman. The consequences of those choices are yours to bear. Case dismissed. I gave birth to my daughter 3 weeks later. Her name is Avery. She's perfect. Brian showed up at the hospital. I let him see her for exactly 10 minutes under supervision from Ashley. He held Avery and he cried and he said he was sorry. I didn't respond. I just watched him hold the daughter he'd almost thrown away for a woman he'd known for 8 months. Brittany had her baby 4 months after Avery was born. A boy, she named him Matthew. I knew this because Ashley kept tabs on her social media. I told her not to, but Ashley was protective. She wanted to make sure Brittany wasn't planning anything else. For a while it seemed like Brian was trying to be present for both kids. He'd take Avery on his weekends. He'd post photos of Matthew on his social media. He'd play the devoted dad role. That lasted about 6 months. Then the visits became sporadic. He'd cancel at the last minute. He'd show up late. He'd forget to bring the diaper bag. He'd drop Avery off early because he had plans. By the time Avery was 2, he'd basically stopped coming around. He paid child support. The court made sure of that, but he wasn't a father. He was a bank account. I heard through mutual friends that things with Brittany hadn't worked out the way she'd planned. Brian had never moved in with her. He'd never proposed. He'd never done any of the things he'd apparently promised. He was just a guy who showed up occasionally, played with Matthew for an hour, and left. The fantasy they built together had collapsed under the weight of reality. I didn't care. I was busy rebuilding my life. I started my own consulting business from home so I could be with Avery. I'd bought a new car. I'd decorated the house exactly how I wanted it. I made friends with other single moms at Avery's daycare. I was happy, actually happy. Then, 4 years after the baby shower, Brittany knocked on my door. I almost didn't recognize her. The confident woman in the red dress was gone. This Brittany looked tired, worn down. She had bags under her eyes and her hair needed a cut, and she was wearing yoga pants and an old sweatshirt. "What do you want?" I asked through the screen door. I didn't open it. "Can we talk, please?" "No, it's about Matthew." "And Avery, and Brian." I should have closed the door. I should have called the police. I should have done literally anything except what I did, which was let her into my house. She sat on my couch, the same couch where I sat the night I found out about the affair. And she cried. "He's gone," she said. "Brian. He's just gone." "Gone where?" "I don't know. He stopped responding to my calls 3 months ago. He stopped paying attention to Matthew. He moved to a different state for work and didn't tell either of us. Not satisfaction. Nothing." "I'm sorry that happened to you," I said. "But I don't know what you expect me to do about it. Matthew asks about his dad all the time." Brittany continued, wiping her eyes. "He sees other kids with their fathers, and he doesn't understand why his isn't around. I've tried to explain, but he's 4. He just knows his dad doesn't want him. That's not my problem." I know it's not. But Avery has you. She has stability, she has love. Matthew has me, but I'm barely holding it together. I work 2 jobs. My mom helps when she can, but she's getting older. I'm drowning, Olivia. Again, not my problem." She looked at me with these desperate eyes. "I know you hate me. You have every right to hate me. What I did was unforgivable. I was young and stupid, and I thought I was in love, and I didn't think about the consequences. I didn't think about you or your baby or what it would do to everyone. I just thought about myself." "Is this the part where you apologize?" "Would it matter if I did?" "No." She nodded like she'd expected that. "I'm not here to ask for forgiveness. I'm here to ask for help." "Help with what?" "Co-parenting." I actually laughed. Like genuinely laughed out loud. "You want me to help you parent your child?" "The child you had with my husband while we were still married." "Our children are siblings, Olivia." "Half siblings, but still. They share DNA. They share a father, even if he's a terrible one. Matthew deserves to know Avery. Avery deserves to know Matthew. Avery doesn't even know Matthew exists. I've never told her about him. Why would I? Because one day she'll find out. One day Brian might come back, or Matthew will find her, or someone will tell her. And when that day comes, wouldn't it be better if she already knew? If they already had a relationship?" I hated that she had a point. "Get out," I said. "Please just think about it. Get out of my house, Brittany." Now she left. I locked the door behind her, and I poured myself a very large glass of wine. And I tried to forget the conversation had ever happened. But I couldn't, because the thing is, Avery has started asking questions. She'd noticed that some of her friends had dads who lived with them. She'd asked why her dad only came around sometimes. She'd asked if she had any brothers or sisters. I deflected, changed the subject, distracted her with toys and snacks and TV. But she was getting older, smarter. Soon, deflection wouldn't work anymore. Ashley came over that night. I told her everything. She was furious. She has some nerve, Ashley said, pacing my kitchen. After everything she did, she shows up here and asks you for help? With the child she had while ruining your marriage? The audacity is actually impressive. She said Matthew needs a father figure. Matthew's father is Brian. That's not your responsibility. She said the kids should know each other. Ashley stopped pacing. Do you want them to know each other? I don't know, maybe. Avery's going to find out eventually. And when she does, I want it to be on my terms. Not Brian's or Brittany's or some random person on Facebook. So what are you going to do? I didn't answer because I didn't know. 2 weeks later, Brittany texted me. Just a simple message, please, for the kids. I blocked her number. She emailed me. I blocked her email. She sent a letter to my house. I threw it away without reading it. She showed up at Avery's preschool pickup. That's when I lost it. You need to stop, I said, pulling her aside while Avery played on the playground equipment. Oblivious. You need to stop contacting me. Stop showing up. Stop everything. I don't want to co-parent with you. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm desperate, Brittany said. I'm completely alone, Olivia. My mom died last month. I have no family. No support system. Matthew is suffering and I don't know how to help him. He needs stability. He needs family. He needs his father, not me, not Avery, his father. His father doesn't want him. The words hung in the air between us. I looked at Avery, laughing as she went down the slide. Completely innocent and happy. And I thought about some little boy somewhere who looked like Brian and didn't understand why his dad didn't love him enough to stay. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it. I'm sorry your son is hurting. I'm sorry Brian is a terrible person. I'm sorry you're struggling, but I can't fix this for you. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm asking you to let our children know each other. One play date, that's all. Let them meet. Let them be siblings, even if we can't be friends. I should have said no. Instead, I said one play date, supervised, in a public place. If Avery gets upset or uncomfortable, it ends immediately. Brittany's face lit up like I'd given her $1 million. Thank you. Thank you so much, Olivia. You don't know what this means. Don't thank me. This isn't for you. It's for Avery. If she asks about siblings one day, I want to be able to tell her I tried. We arranged it for the following Saturday at a local park. I told Avery we were meeting a friend. I didn't mention Matthew was her half-brother. I didn't mention Brian at all. I just said there was a nice lady with a little boy who wanted to play. Avery was excited. She loved making new friends. Matthew was small for his age, dark hair like Brian, same eyes. It was unsettling how much he looked like his father. He was shy at first, hiding behind Brittany's legs. But Avery had this way of drawing people out. She offered him her favorite toy truck and he smiled, and they ran off to the sandbox together. Brittany and I sat on a bench 10 feet away watching them. We didn't talk. What was there to say? The kids played for an hour. They built sandcastles. They went on the swings. They laughed. Avery held Matthew's hand when he got scared on the tall slide. Matthew shared his snacks with Avery when she said she was hungry. They were just kids. They didn't know about the complicated, messy adult drama that connected them. They just knew they liked each other. She's wonderful, Brittany said quietly. You've done an amazing job with her. Don't. I mean it. She's kind and confident and happy. Everything I hope Matthew can be. I looked at Brittany, really looked at her. She was young. Maybe 26, 27. She'd made a terrible choice 4 years ago, but she was still just a kid herself. A kid with a kid trying to figure out how to survive. Why did you do it? I asked. Why did you show up at my baby shower? She was quiet for a long time. Honestly, I thought if you saw me, saw that I was real, you'd leave him. I thought he'd be free and we'd be together and it would be perfect. I was an idiot. I thought love conquered everything. I didn't understand that what we had wasn't love. It was just fantasy, escape, A game we played where we pretended real life didn't exist. You destroyed my life. I know, and I'm sorry. I've wanted to say that for 4 years, but I didn't think you'd listen. I'm sorry I was selfish. I'm sorry I was cruel. I'm sorry I didn't think about anyone but myself. If I could go back and change it, I would. But you can't. No, I can't. We watched the kids play in silence. Matthew talks about his dad sometimes, Brittany said after a while. He asks when Daddy's coming back. I stopped lying. I just tell him I don't know. I think he's starting to understand that maybe Daddy's not coming back at all. What happened to Brian? Where did he go? Texas. Got a new job. New apartment. New life. He sends child support because the court makes him, but that's it. No calls. No visits. Nothing. It's like Matthew and I never existed. He does the same thing to Avery, I know. I follow your social media sometimes. I see the photos of her birthdays, her preschool graduation, all these moments. Brian's never there. He came to one birthday party. Stayed for 20 minutes, left before we cut the cake. Matthew's never had a birthday party. I can't afford it. I looked at Matthew, laughing as Avery chased him around a tree. He looked happy. In this moment, at this park with my daughter, he looked like a normal, happy 4-year-old boy. What are you really asking for, Brittany? I said, this isn't just about the kids knowing each other. What do you want? She took a deep breath. I want to co-parent, for real. I want Avery and Matthew to grow up knowing each other. I want them to have play dates and birthday parties and Christmas mornings together. I want them to be family. Even if it's unconventional, we're not family. We're connected whether we like it or not. We share children with the same man. That makes us something. It makes us nothing. Olivia, please. I'm drowning. I'm working 16-hour days. Matthew is in daycare from 6 in the morning until 8 at night. He's lonely. He's sad. He needs more than I can give him by myself. I'm not asking you to love him. I'm not asking you to replace his father. I'm just asking you to let him exist in Avery's life. Let them be siblings. I wanted to say no. I wanted to tell her to leave and never come back. I wanted to protect Avery from all of this mess. But I watched Avery hold Matthew's hand as they climbed the jungle gym together. And I saw the way he looked at her like she was the coolest person in the world. And I thought about what kind of person I wanted Avery to be. Did I want her to be someone who turned her back on family because of adult mistakes? Or did I want her to be someone who showed compassion even when it was hard? I need to think about it, I said. That's all I'm asking. We exchanged phone numbers. Avery cried when it was time to leave. She wanted to keep playing with her new friend. I promised her we'd see Matthew again soon. That night, I called Melissa, my divorce attorney. I need advice, I said. But not legal advice. Personal advice. I explained the situation. Everything. The visit. The requests. The play date. Melissa listened without interrupting. Like always. Do you want to do this? She asked when I finished. I don't know. Yes, you do. You wouldn't have called me if you didn't already know what you wanted. You're just scared. Of course I'm scared. This is the woman who destroyed my marriage. No, Brian destroyed your marriage. She was just the tool he used to do it. Now she's asking you for help. The question is, do you want to help her? It's not about helping her. It's about Avery, is it? Because it sounds like it's also about a little boy who has a deadbeat dad and a struggling mom. And no fault in any of this. It sounds like it's about whether you're going to let Brian Jess' failures define how you treat 2 innocent children. I hated that she was right. If I do this, I said. If I let Matthew into Avery's life, there's no going back. They'll be connected forever. I'll be connected to Brittany forever. You're already connected to her. You share a piece of history that can't be undone. The only question is whether that connection is going to be hostile and distant, or whether it's going to be something that benefits the kids. I hung up and I stared at my ceiling for 3 hours thinking about what to do. The next morning, I texted Brittany. We need to talk. Coffee. Tomorrow. Bring a list of exactly what you're proposing. She responded immediately. Thank you, I will. Thank you so much. We met at a coffee shop near the park. Brittany showed up with a notebook full of ideas. Scheduled playdates. Shared birthdays, holiday coordination. It was thorough. Almost too thorough. How long have you been planning this? I asked. 2 years. Since Matthew started asking about his dad. Since I realized Brian wasn't coming back. I've been watching Avery's social media, seeing what a good mom you are. Thinking about how much better Matthew's life could be if he had that kind of stability too. That's borderline stalking. I know. I'm sorry. I just ... I didn't know how else to hope for something better. I looked at her list. It was ambitious. Maybe too ambitious. But there was something there, a framework, a possibility. Here's what I'll agree to, I said. Monthly playdates. Public places. Supervised by both of us. If Avery asks questions, I'll tell her age-appropriate truths. If Matthew asks questions, you do the same. No lies, no secrets. We're honest with them about their relationship. Okay, birthdays. They can come to each other's parties if they want. No obligation. If Avery doesn't want Matthew there, he doesn't come. If Matthew doesn't want Avery there, she doesn't come. We play it by ear based on what works for everyone. Agreed. And Brittany, if you ever try to manipulate this situation, if you try to use Avery to get to me or get something from me or hurt me in any way, it ends immediately. I will protect my daughter above everything else. Do you understand? I understand. And I won't. I promise. We shook hands. It felt surreal. 4 years ago, this woman had destroyed my life. Now we were agreeing to co-parent our children together. The first few months were awkward, really awkward. Brittany and I didn't know how to talk to each other. We sit at parks and coffee shops making stilted small talk while the kids played. But Avery and Matthew? They clicked immediately. Matthew started calling Avery his best friend. Avery started asking when she'd see Matthew again. They'd draw pictures for each other. They'd share toys. They'd make up elaborate games and stories. When Avery turned 5, she asked if Matthew could come to her party. I said yes. Matthew showed up with a handmade card and the biggest smile I'd ever seen. He sang happy birthday louder than anyone. He helped Avery blow out her candles. Brittany stood in the corner of my backyard looking uncomfortable. Ashley glared at her the entire time. But Avery and Matthew were happy. And that was what mattered. 6 months into our arrangement, Brittany showed up at a playdate looking different, lighter somehow. I got a new job, she said. Better hours, better pay. Matthew's going to a better daycare. Things are improving. That's good. I'm glad. It's because of you. Because of this. Having help, even just 1 weekend a month, is giving me space to breathe, to figure things out. To be a better mom, you're doing it for Matthew. Not me. I'm doing it because you gave me a chance when you had every reason not to. That means something. We started talking more, not as friends. We'd never be friends. But as 2 women trying to navigate an impossible situation. She told me about her struggles with money, with childcare, with dating as a single mom. I told her about my business, about the challenges of raising Avery alone, about how I'd rebuilt my life. We were never going to have a typical relationship. But we had something, some kind of understanding. Then, about a year into our co-parenting arrangement, Brittany said something that changed everything. We were at a playground. Avery and Matthew were on the monkey bars. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon. I'm bisexual, Brittany said suddenly. I looked at her. Okay, I just thought you should know. Since we're spending so much time together, since the kids are getting closer, I wanted to be honest. Why are you telling me this? She looked uncomfortable. Because, I don't know. I've been doing therapy, working through things, trying to figure out who I am outside of the mistakes I made. And this is part of who I am. I wanted you to know. Okay, thanks for sharing, I guess. Does it bother you? No, why would it? She shrugged. Some people are weird about it. I'm not. We didn't talk about it again for months. Then, around the 2-year mark of our arrangement, Brittany started acting strange. She'd text me randomly during the week. Not about the kids. Just to chat. She'd suggest coffee dates separate from play dates. She'd compliment me constantly. My hair, my clothes. The way I handled Avery, I ignored it. I thought she was just being friendly, trying to build a relationship beyond just co-parenting. Then she invited me to dinner. Just us, she said. No kids. A nice restaurant. My treat. Why? Because I want to thank you. For everything. For giving Matthew a chance. For being kind when you had every reason not to be. Instead, I said yes. The restaurant was fancy. Too fancy. Brittany wore a dress. She'd done her hair and makeup. She looked nervous. We ordered wine. We talked about the kids. About work. About life. It was almost nice. Then, halfway through the main course, Brittany said, I need to tell you something. My stomach dropped. What? I have feelings for you. I stared at her. What? I have feelings for you, real feelings. I think I might be falling in love with you. I put down my fork. You're joking. I'm not. I know it's crazy. I know it's probably the worst possible thing I could say, but I can't keep it in anymore. These past 2 years. Getting to know you. Seeing how incredible you are as a mom and as a person. Watching you give my son a chance even though I ruined your life. I've fallen for you, Olivia. No, I know you probably don't feel the same way. No, absolutely not. This is insane, is it? Think about it. We're already co-parenting. We already spend time together. The kids love each other. We could be a family. A real family. We could raise Avery and Matthew together. We could. Stop. Just stop. I stood up. You destroyed my marriage. You humiliated me. You made the worst day of my life even worse. And now you think what? That I'm going to fall in love with you? That we're going to play house together? That I'm going to forget everything you did? I thought maybe we'd move past. We haven't moved past anything. The only reason I tolerate you is for the kids. That's it. There is nothing else between us. There will never be anything else between us. People were staring. I didn't care. I'm sorry, Brittany said, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry. I just thought. You thought wrong. I'm leaving. Lose my number. The co-parenting arrangement is over. I walked out of the restaurant and I drove home and I cried, not because I was sad. Because I was angry. Furious. How dare she? How dare she think that 2 years of playdates erased everything she'd done? Avery asked why we weren't seeing Matthew anymore. I told her Matthew's mom needed some space. She was upset, but she moved on. Kids are resilient like that. Ashley was thrilled. Good riddance, she said. That woman was delusional if she thought you'd ever want anything to do with her romantically. But Matthew's absence affected Avery more than I expected. She'd ask about him randomly. She'd draw pictures for him. She'd save toys to show him. She missed her brother. And that's when I realized they weren't just friends to each other. They were siblings. Real siblings with a real bond. And I'd taken that away because of my own anger. 3 months after the disastrous dinner, I texted Brittany, Avery misses Matthew. We need to figure something out. For them, not for us. She responded immediately. I understand. Whatever works for you. I'm so sorry about everything. I crossed a line. It won't happen again. We started doing playdates again, but different this time. More formal, less personal. We dropped the kids off at each other's houses and leave. We'd coordinate through text only. We'd keep everything transactional. It worked. Sort of. The kids were happy again. But there was this weird tension now. This elephant in the room that we both pretended didn't exist. Then, 6 months after the restaurant incident, Brian came back. He just showed up at my door one Saturday morning like no time had passed at all. Hey, Olive, he said. using the nickname he'd given me when we first started dating. Can we talk? Avery was at a friend's house. I was alone. I should have slammed the door in his face. Instead, I let him in. He looked older, tired, he'd gained weight, lost some hair. The confident man I married was gone, replaced by this sad middle-aged guy who looked like life had beaten him down. What do you want, Brian? I want to see Avery. Really see her. Be in her life. You've had 5 years to be in her life. Where have you been? Texas. Working. Trying to figure out who I am without everything. Without your wife and mistress, you mean? He flinched. I deserve that. You deserve a lot worse than that. I know I screwed up. I know I'm the villain in this story. But Avery is my daughter. I want to know her. I want to be her dad. Do you even remember Matthew's name? Of course I do. When's his birthday? Silence. That's what I thought. You don't get to just walk back into their lives when it's convenient for you. You made your choice. Live with it. I'm sober now. I've been going to therapy. I'm different. Good for you. Doesn't change anything. Olivia, please. I'm begging you. Let me see Avery. Let me prove I've changed. Why now? Why after 5 years? He looked down at his hands. Because I got diagnosed with something serious. And I realized I'm running out of time to fix my mistakes. I don't want to leave this world with my daughter hating me. My blood ran cold. What do you mean diagnosed? Heart condition. Pretty bad. I need surgery. Maybe more than one. The doctors say I've got a good shot. But you never know. I should have felt sympathy. I should have felt something. Instead, I felt nothing. That's awful. I said flatly, but it doesn't change anything. Avery doesn't know you. You're a stranger to her. Walking back into her life now would just confuse her. Then let me meet her. Let me introduce myself. Let me try. And Matthew? Are you planning to see him too? Brian looked uncomfortable. Brittany and I, we don't have a good relationship. You don't have any relationship. You abandoned your son. I know. I'm going to fix that too, eventually. But Avery is my priority right now. She's the one I was married to her mother. She's the one you want. And Matthew is the one you don't. Got it. You're still the same selfish person you've always been. Get out. Olivia, get out of my house, Brian. If you want visitation with Avery, have your lawyer contact my lawyer. Otherwise, don't come back here. He left. I locked the door and I called Melissa. He's back, I said. Brian, he wants visitation. On what grounds? He claims he's changed. Sober. Therapy. Oh, and he's sick. Heart condition. Wants to make amends before surgery. Do you believe him? I don't know. I don't care. I don't want him near Avery. Unfortunately, unless he's proven to be a danger, he has parental rights. If he files for visitation, a judge will likely grant something. Especially if he can show he's getting medical treatment and working on himself. So I have no choice? You have choices. You can fight it. You can propose supervised visitation only. You can require drug testing and therapy verification. You can make it difficult. But you can't deny him completely. What about Matthew? He wants to see Avery but not Matthew. That's telling. Document that. It shows he's not actually interested in being a father. He's interested in the child who comes from the legitimate relationship. A judge might not look kindly on that. I documented everything, every text, every conversation. Every time Brian said something that proved he was still the same selfish person. But here's what I didn't expect. Brittany found out Brian was back. She called me crying. Is it true? Is Brian in town? Yes. Did he contact you? Yes, he wants to see Avery. Not Matthew? No, not Matthew. I heard her break down on the other end of the line. She didn't say anything for a full minute, just cried. I'm sorry, I said finally. For what it's worth, I told him he was a piece of garbage for not wanting to see Matthew too. It doesn't matter. Matthew's better off without him. We both are, it's just. It would be nice if Brian could at least pretend to care. Yeah, it would. We were quiet for a moment. Olivia? Brittany said softly. Yeah? Can I ask you something? Depends what it is. That night at the restaurant. When I told you how I felt, I know I messed everything up. I know I made you uncomfortable, but I meant what I said. Not the weird marriage proposal part, but the part about respecting you, admiring you, thinking you're incredible. I still mean that. Brittany? I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable again. I just want you to know that even though we'll never be together, even though you'll probably never forgive me for what I did to you, I'm grateful you gave Matthew a chance. He talks about Avery all the time. She's his hero, and you're mine. I didn't know what to say to that. I need to go. I said, Avery's about to come home. Okay, thanks for listening. And Olivia, yeah? Whatever happens with Brian, whatever he tries to do, I've got your back. If you need someone to testify about what kind of father he is, I'll do it. I'll tell them everything. Thanks. She hung up. I sat there thinking about how completely insane my life had become. My ex-husband wanted back into my daughter's life. His mistress was in love with me. Our kids were best friends. And I was somehow in the middle of all of it, trying to protect everyone, while also wanting to burn the whole situation to the ground. Brian filed for visitation. Melissa fought it hard. We went back to court. She remembered everything. Brian's lawyer argued he was reformed. Showed evidence of therapy, sobriety, medical treatment. Argued that Avery deserved to know her father. Melissa showed the texts where Brian admitted he didn't want to see Matthew. Showed his pattern of abandonment. Showed his 5 years of minimal contact. Showed everything. The judge looked tired. Mr. Brian, she said. You have demonstrated a pattern of selective parenting that concerns this court. You're seeking visitation with one child, while openly avoiding another child you also fathered. Can you explain why? Brian stammered through an answer about complicated relationships and different circumstances. The judge wasn't impressed. Here's my ruling, she said. You may have supervised visitation with Avery, 2 hours, once a month. The supervision will be provided by a court-appointed mediator. If you demonstrate consistent appropriate behavior for 6 months, we'll revisit the arrangement. However, I'm also ordering you to establish visitation with your son Matthew. You don't get to pick and choose which children you parent. Brian went pale. Your Honor, with all due respect, Matthew's mother and I are adults who need to figure it out. You have 2 children. You either show up for both or neither. That's my ruling. I wanted to hug that judge. Brian showed up for his first supervised visit with Avery 3 weeks later. Avery was confused. She didn't remember him. She kept asking me who the strange man was. I had to explain in very simple terms that this was her biological father, that he'd been away for a long time but wanted to get to know her now. Avery asked if Matthew's dad was her dad too. I said yes. She asked why he'd never been around. I told her that was a question for him, not me. The visit was awkward. Brian tried too hard, brought too many toys, talked too much. Avery was polite but distant. She kept looking at me like she wanted permission to leave. After 2 hours, the mediator ended the session. Avery ran to me and held my hand tight. Do I have to see him again? She asked in the car. Yes, sweetheart. He's your dad. The judge says he gets to visit sometimes. Why? Because that's how families work sometimes. It's complicated. I don't like him. You don't have to like him. You just have to be respectful. Okay, Mommy. Brian didn't go see Matthew. He claimed Brittany wouldn't let him. Brittany claimed he never reached out. The judge ordered them both into mediation. I stayed out of it. This was their mess. But then Brittany called me one night, completely distraught. He wants custody, she said. Brian, he's filing for custody of Matthew. What? Why? Because the judge ordered him to establish a relationship. So now he's trying to look like father of the year. He's claiming I'm an unfit mother. That Matthew needs a father figure. That he can provide better stability. That's insane. He's been gone for 5 years. I know. But his lawyer is arguing that he was depressed and working through issues. And now he's better and ready to be a parent. They're making me look like the villain for not forcing Matthew on him sooner. What do you need? A character witness. Someone who can testify about what kind of father Brian actually is. Will you do it? I shouldn't have. This was Brittany's problem, not mine. But I thought about Matthew. About that sweet little boy who adored Avery and drew pictures and laughed loud. About how he deserved better than to be a pawn in Brian's redemption arc. I'll do it, I said. The custody hearing was brutal. Brian's lawyer painted Brittany as a struggling single mom who couldn't provide stability, painted Brian as a reformed man ready to step up. Then I took the stand. I told them everything. How Brian had abandoned Avery. How he'd missed birthdays and Christmases and milestones. How he'd admitted to me he didn't want to see Matthew. How he only filed for custody after being ordered to establish a relationship. How this was all about appearances, not about actually being a father. Melissa helped Brittany's lawyer with questions. They tag-teamed perfectly. Miss Olivia, Brittany's lawyer, said, "In your experience co-parenting with your ex-husband, has he demonstrated genuine interest in Avery's well-being?" "No, he shows up when the court makes him, otherwise he's absent." "And in your interactions with him regarding Matthew, has he ever expressed genuine desire to be Matthew's father?" "No. He's explicitly said he doesn't want a relationship with Matthew, that Avery is his priority because she's from his marriage." "So you believe his sudden interest in custody is not genuine?" "I believe Brian does whatever benefits Brian. Right now that means playing dad to look good in court. Once he gets what he wants, he'll disappear again. That's what he does." The judge denied Brian's custody request. Granted him supervised visitation with Matthew, same as Avery, once a month, 2 hours. Court appointed mediator. Brian was furious. He tried to appeal. It went nowhere. Then he dropped the bombshell. He wasn't getting the surgery. His heart condition, manageable with medication and lifestyle changes. He didn't actually need immediate surgery. He wasn't dying. He'd exaggerated the severity to manipulate everyone. Even the judge was disgusted. "Mr. Brian," she said at the final hearing, "you've wasted this court's time with false medical emergencies, insincere custody requests, and manipulation. Your visitation with both children will continue as ordered, but I'm adding a stipulation. You will undergo parenting classes. You will continue therapy. You will provide proof of both every 3 months. If you miss a single visit without valid cause, if you fail to provide proof of classes or therapy, your visitation rights will be revoked entirely. Do you understand?" Brian understood. He lasted 4 months, missed visits, stopped going to therapy, disappeared again. The judge revoked his visitation rights. He didn't appeal. He just left. Again. Avery asked about him once or twice, then forgot. Matthew never asked at all. They had each other. They had us. That was enough. And Brittany. Brittany stopped being weird. Stopped pushing for anything more than co-parenting. She focused on Matthew, on her job, on building a life. One day, about 6 months after Brian disappeared for the second time, we were at a park watching the kids play. It was a sunny afternoon. Birds were singing. Everything felt peaceful. "I'm dating someone," Brittany said suddenly. "Oh yeah, a woman named Rachel. She's a teacher. Really kind. Good with kids. That's great. I'm happy for you. Thanks. She wants to meet Matthew soon." "I'm nervous." "Why?" "Because what if she doesn't like him? What if he doesn't like her? What if I'm bad at this? You'll be fine. Matthew's great. Any decent person will see that." "Thanks." Brittany was quiet for a moment. "I know things between us will never be normal. I know what I did is unforgivable. But I'm grateful for what we have. This weird co-parenting thing is more than I deserve." It's not about what you deserve. It's about what the kids need. Still, thank you, I nodded. We watched Avery and Matthew on the swings. They were laughing, pushing each other higher and higher without a care in the world. You know what's funny? I said. What? 4 years ago, I wanted to destroy you. I wanted you to have nothing. I wanted you to suffer the way you made me suffer. I remember. But now I don't feel that way anymore. I don't forgive you. I'll probably never forgive you, but I don't hate you either. What do you feel? I thought about it. Indifferent. You're just someone I know. Someone who's connected to my life because our kids are siblings. That's it. That's more than I expected. Yeah, me too. Avery called out to me, asking if she and Matthew could get ice cream. I said yes. We walked to the ice cream truck, Brittany and I side by side, watching our kids hold hands and chatter excitedly about flavors. It wasn't the life I'd planned. It wasn't the life I'd wanted. Matthew started at the same school. They weren't in the same class, but they saw each other at recess and lunch. Avery would tell me stories about how Matthew had helped a kid who'd fallen down, how he'd shared his snacks, how he was making friends. Matthew was thriving. So was Avery. Brittany brought Rachel to a playdate. Rachel was exactly as described. Kind, warm, good with kids. She and Matthew clicked immediately. Avery approved too, which apparently was the highest endorsement. Your daughter is very protective of Matthew, Rachel said, watching Avery make sure Matthew got the first turn on the slide. They're protective of each other, I said. It's sweet. Brittany talks about you all the time, about how you saved her life. I didn't save anything. I just let the kids be siblings. Still, not everyone would do that. Especially given the history, I shrugged. The kids didn't do anything wrong. They deserved a chance. Ashley still didn't approve. You're too forgiving, she'd say. But Ashley hadn't seen what I'd seen. She hadn't watched Avery and Matthew grow up together. She hadn't seen how much lighter Brittany had become. She hadn't seen how this weird broken situation had somehow turned into something that worked. Brian sent an email on Avery's 7th birthday. Just a simple message. Happy birthday to Avery. Sorry I can't be there. Hope she's well. I didn't respond. I deleted it and moved on. Avery blew out her candles. Matthew sang the loudest. Brittany and Rachel helped serve cake. Ashley glared but kept quiet. My mom, who'd been skeptical of the whole arrangement, admitted it was surprisingly functional. That night, after everyone left, after Avery was asleep, I sat on my back porch with a glass of wine and thought about the past 7 years. I'd been betrayed, humiliated, destroyed. I'd rebuilt myself from nothing. I'd raised an incredible daughter. I'd built a successful business. I navigated an impossible co-parenting situation with the woman who'd ruined my marriage. And somehow, impossibly, I come out okay. Better than okay. I was happy. Not the naive happiness I'd had before the affair. Not the fantasy happiness that depended on a man and a perfect marriage and a white picket fence. Real happiness. The kind that comes from surviving hard things. From making difficult choices. From putting your kids first even when it hurts. From finding peace in imperfect situations. My phone buzzed. A text from Brittany. Thanks for today. Avery's party was beautiful. Matthew hasn't stopped talking about it. You're an amazing mom. I started to type a response, then deleted it. Started again. Deleted again. Finally, I just wrote, thanks. Matthew's a good kid. You're doing great. She responded immediately. We're all doing great. Who would have thought? I smiled. Not me. That's for sure. Life's weird. The weirdest. See you next week. See you next week. I set my phone down and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Brian was living his life. Somewhere out there, the version of me from 7 years ago was standing in a pink dress at a baby shower. Completely unaware that her life was about to explode, but that wasn't me anymore. I was someone different now. Someone stronger. Someone who learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And that moving forward doesn't mean pretending the past didn't happen. I was Olivia, single mom, business owner. Co-parent to 2 kids who share DNA, but not my DNA, friend to the woman,